Hey everyone, my name is Molly Getz. I'm a CMVia ambassador, and today I'm so excited to share with you a tutorial on my take on the really trendy Sabrina Carpenter style fringe and face frame haircut, as well as a really great tutorial on how to give it an express blow dry to give it a really cool, bouncy 90s blowout look. Stay tuned.
In order to create a fringe that is best suited for the individual wearer, the first thing I want to do is see where that fringe is naturally going to live. So finding that corner of their eyebrow and rocking my comb straight up vertically to that center point of the head, pretty close to the apex typically, is where that left side section is going to be. I love to use the dry sectioning clips to keep all of my work nice and tidy. We're going to repeat the same thing on the right side, finding the corner of the eyebrow and vertically rocking my comb up, finding that center point, and then play a little game of connect the dots. Connect that top point to that right front corner point. Again, keeping my work nice and clean. The dry sectioning clips really help with keeping our work nice and tidy. We now need to find the guide for this fringe. So when we cut hair dry, it's really important to pay attention to any type of growth pattern changes that are happening around the hairline. It's really important that we also take into consideration how their hair is going to bounce when it is in its natural state. So when I'm looking at where we want this guide to be, we know that we want to take the shortest piece right at about the bridge of the nose. So I'm looking at how her hair is already bending. We're just going to hold the hair really loose. As we pinch the hair, we're going to go in with a point cut. I like to make sure, even with our guide, that we're putting some texture in on the ends of the hair, so that way we don't have a really strong straight line that we have to go in and try to soften out later. Now I'm working on the left side. I am going to be taking a diagonal parting, and we're going from the center top, and the section's really just going to get split in two from what I have pre-sectioned out. So right at about that halfway part, I'm going to take that diagonal parting and clip the rest of that hair back out of the way. And we're just going to be working with this smaller inner triangle to start. So as we are combing the hair into place, what I'm going to be doing is making sure I'm mirroring a diagonal holding position with my fingers. I'm going to be bringing all of the hair to the center of the nose. So over directing the hair to center front, and I am lifting the hair slightly up off of the head. So elevation is just slightly above her forehead, and by elevating the hair, it is going to give us a lot of softness in this end result. So as we are combing the hair, I'm looking for my guide, and what I want to do is create a shorter in the center, longer to the side effect. So I'm going to go in with a diagonal finger position and do a medium depth point cut. Now, the scissors of my choosing for this effect are the Streamline shears. I'm a left-handed hair cutter, so I love the fact that all of the CMVia shears come in a left-handed option, but these Streamline shears are especially handy when doing detail work. They glide through the hair. You can condense cut and you can do precision cutting, and they can really handle any type of job. So same thing on the right side. I'm taking that inner triangle, that diagonal parting, and we are going to be lifting that section just off of the forehead to give us a little bit of elevation. I'm going to maintain that diagonal finger position parallel with that parting, and there's my guide from before. And now I'm going to go in with my Streamline shears and point cut that hair off. And as I'm point cutting in, I'm really making sure it's nice and soft through those edges. And you can see as we are combing this hair into place, it automatically has a really lovely swoop effect to it. Now we can see the effect of that diagonal parting and elevation, creating that shorter in the center, slightly longer, and swooped out effect on the sides. The final step in creating this fringe is to take those outer sections of those left and right triangles, and I like to gather them together in my hands in one section, pulling everything to center front. And I'm going to lift everything higher this time. elevating the hair at about a horizontal 90-degree angle. So as I'm combing everything to center front, I'm going to use the corner of that previous section as my guideline. And since we are elevating a little bit higher, I am looking for even more softness out of the sides of these sections. So as I'm looking for my guide, I'm also thinking about creating as much of a broken up edge as possible. So my point cut this time is going to be even deeper. As I turn to center, you'll be able to see how much deeper the strokes of the scissors are compared to the first time we went through. So I'm really thinking about going in and creating shorter in the center and longer as we get towards the outside edge. As I move into some more face framing, I'm going to switch to my 7-inch dry cutting shears. Again, they come in a lefty version, which is so helpful for those of us left-handed cutters. So to frame her face and break up the heaviness that is at more in the perimeter area of this haircut, I am going to work on the side. So I'm going to go from that high point of the head, taking a diagonal back section, and that parting is going to go right to behind her ear. Again, I can't live without these dry sectioning clips. They are a lifesaver when we're really working with quite thick hair and doing dry cutting like this. Since we are working in front of the ear, we had already discussed the need to break up a lot of the length and the heaviness around her face in order to really open the shape up and make it dance and move a lot. So we are okay with taking a lot of this length off in an effort to make all of those things happen. So I'm going to pick that entire front section up and lift it straight off of her head. Once I get myself locked into place with how I'm elevating and holding the hair, I can drop the hair so I'm in a little bit more of a comfortable position. I'm doing some really deep point cuts, and you can see how much hair those dry cutting shears can remove at once, but still allowing for a really, really soft end result. Check that out. One section and we completely softened out that entire face frame. Heading over to the right side, I'm looking for that high point of the head, and I am taking that diagonal back parting. Again, the parting is going to right behind the ear and clipping all of the hair that we don't want to touch out of the way, so that way it's all protected. Same motions are going to apply on the right side. We are going to get the hair elevated straight up off the head, get my guide from the very back corner of that previous section, as well as a small little guide from the center and top of the head from that left side that we also just cut. We're going to elevate straight up, find our diagonal finger position, and then we're going to drop that down and we are going to do a nice deep point cut. One final touch that we're going to add to this layered hair story is to give her some lift and volume in the front half of her head to complement her new face framing layers. So what we're looking for is where the head shape changes at that parietal ridge. I'm going to take a horizontal parting from the front to the section right above the ear, and all the hair that lives above that section I am going to control in my hand and in my comb. We are going to lay the hair directly across the head towards the opposite side, and I am going to tilt my comb on a diagonal. And what I'm looking for in this moment is the guide from the very front corner and connecting the guide to that back corner. So that way I'm just really taking off this corner of that section of the hair. This is going to allow for a really full, soft, lightweight movement in those upper layers of her hair. Now, as we move over to the right side, we're going to repeat those same steps, looking for where that parietal ridge is, horizontal parting from the top of the right ear towards the front of the face. And I'm going to, again, hold everything above that round of the head in my hands and laying everything directly across the top of the head over to the left side. Now this time I'm going to take a small sliver of that very high point section as my guide, because I want to make sure that my diagonal angle is the same mirror image as the other side. So turning my fingers and my comb on a diagonal, finding where those 2 points need to be connected, and just taking a really deep point cut. So using these dry cutting shears with a swivel thumb really helps when I'm doing these point cutting motions, so I can hold my hands ergonomically correct and I can move whatever way I want, and my hands is never going to get fatigued. We are really starting to see how that shape is going to be able to live in its natural state. We can see how that really reduced a lot of that extra bulk that her hair had, and it's giving her so much more movement. I'm going to mist her hair down a little bit with some product, and we are going to do an express blowout. I've got my Pro Light Ionic blow dryer and my small thermal round brush, and we're going to start by confusing the roots of this new fringe section we created. So I'm going in with some small movements and doing just an X shape pattern across that front fringe area. Now I'm going to pick up that new fringe area. I'm going to lay it on top of my small thermal round brush, and encouraging that section to get heated up and rounded, I am following my brush with the nozzle of my blow dryer, but being mindful that we don't want to come in direct contact with the nozzle and the hair, or else it's just going to put a lot of unnecessary heat on that hair. We got some great round shape out of that fringe area, and now we are going to move over into the face framing section. So I'm going to take a section of that front face frame, and with that small round brush, I am placing the hair in front of the brush, and I am pulling all of that hair forward towards the face. And as I'm working the blow dryer and the brush together, I'm just really working on getting that base and then the mid areas of the hair heated up before I start to wrap the hair around the ends. So now that we've got the hair all wrapped up in the brush, I'm going to use my cold shot button to start to cool that section off. And then as I unravel, we're going to have a nice bouncy face frame. We're going to do the same thing on that right side. We are going to collect that hair. We are putting the brush in behind the hair. So the hair is closest to the face, and then the brush is coming in behind, so we can pull all of that hair forward and get that movement moving towards the face. So we're heating the base up first, and then we're working through the middle of the hair, and then finally finishing with the ends. A great hot tip to help keep that hair around that brush is wind that hair around the brush, just one resolution, and then go in and work the base to mids. That will keep that hair wound around that brush a little bit more securely. Now we're going to make sure we go in with our cold shot button again, cool that hair down, and voila, we have beautiful bouncy face frame. Now working with the hair that is at the top of the head, we're going to take a section that is about the width of our round brush that we're using, and we are going to collect all of that hair at the top of the head and elevate it straight up and start to work in that same manner, working the base, then working the mids, and then finally the ends once we start to get all of that hair heated up and on the dry side. So as we are working straight up off the head, we're really starting to see that round shape take form as the hair is getting heated around that brush. Once I know all the hair is actually dry, then I am going to be confident to be able to wrap that hair all the way around the brush from the ends all the way down to the base. I'm going to use my cold button once again and cool that section off as well as I can. And as I'm releasing the hair from the brush, I'm going to grab my dry sectioning clip. So if you don't have a Velcro roller handy, you can recreate that round shape that the hair was just in the brush using the dry sectioning clip. The rubber band on the inside of those clips will create a creaseless hold, so you don't have to worry about it bending any of that brand new beautiful blowout hair. I'm just going to continue on through the sides of her hair, and in the same manner as before, I'm just going to be using that round brush to help smooth out that hair and help heat the hair up so it starts to take shape around the brush. And the look we're going for is definitely that like bouncy 90s blowout, but with as minimal tools as possible. That's why I love the Pro Light Ionic blow dryer and these thermal round brushes. They work so well together. The tools are very lightweight, and I don't have to have a ton of extra things. I don't need extra Velcro rollers or hot rollers or any other type of curling iron. The round brush is the perfect size to get a little extra curl in the hair, with it being a smaller round brush diameter. Now, if you're looking for a more defined curl, I suggest you take smaller sections. That is going to allow more of that hair to get wrapped around that brush and come in contact with that thermal center of the brush. So that's going to give you a little bit more of a curl toward the end versus a really big section. Before I start to comb out this set, I love to use an aerosol spray like this Redken Dry Texture Spray to help also aid in cooling the hair down before I start raking my fingers through it a lot. So I just mist it over the ends of this new blowout to just help break it up a little bit, but offer it some airiness and a little bit of bouncy texture. When we go to release the dry sectioning clip, we want to make sure before we let the hair fall and gravity take its course that we're also hitting it with the dry texture spray or some sort of spray that will give it some volume and bounce at that root area, but also through the ends. Shake out the top and check out this beautiful shape. You know I have to reach for my Max Hold hairspray from Redken. This is humidity protection and a nice, strong control hairspray. So it's perfect for finishing out that style while not dulling the hair at all. And it doesn't make the hair crunchy or anything. So I do love to finish a style like this with that specific spray. But, you can use whatever floats your boat. I just am obsessed with how this has turned out. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Molly Getz. I'm a Sam Villa ambassador, and you can find me on Instagram at Molly Getz.